Welcome to the Oh Brother podcast. I'm your host, Dan Smith. Alongside me, as always, is my brother from the same mother, Mike Smith.
How you doing tonight, Dan?
Hey, man.
I am excited tonight.
It's another week, July 2nd.
Another week and another great movie, which people are probably like rolling their eyes right now. Because tonight's movie is what?
Godfather Part III.
Part 3, not Godfather 1, not Godfather 2.
You heard us right, folks.
Godfather Part 3.
Why we love this film and why you should love this film.
So I just read a couple of reviews before we did this. I just wanted to see what the thoughts were. And Pauline Kael, who's a well-known movie reviewer, called Godfather 3 a public humiliation.
All right, Pauline, that's a bit harsh.
Yeah, that's a bit harsh. Washington Post, okay, if you thought she was harsh, Washington Post called it a disappointing, heartbreaking, of epic proportions film.
Oh, man.
That's what they thought of this film.
That's why they call it the Godfather epic.
Unreal. And I don't know. I think they took a left and went into the wrong cinema because although we have criticisms, we enjoy this film.
Yeah, and look, this was Christmas Day, 1990.
Christmas Day.
We went. We were there.
Yep.
Here in Florida.
Yep.
And
we were at what was then called Disney.
No. This was actually
Pleasure Island.
No, not even that. And unless you're a local, you wouldn't know this, because this is so vivid. I can see us walking into the theater. It was at that time Fashion Square. It was the theater at Fashion Square. I can even see the poster still outside on the.
We must have avoided Disney because of the crowd. I bet.
I bet you're right.
And our theater was sold out.
Yeah.
We got there early. We were in the very back row, and it was jammed.
Yeah, it was like showing up late to church, which.
Yeah.
You know.
But we got there early, and do you remember how the movie opens?
Oh, yeah. That's, I think, what had us kind of hooked initially. And again, not that we don't have criticisms of the film, but that opening scene, and you can lay it out if you want, but how do you not love that?
Dear children, it is now better than several years since I moved to New York, and I haven't seen you as much as I would like to.
It's basically the end of Godfather 2. So we know we're starting back. You know, we always, when we're looking at sequels and trilogies, we're always looking like, how does he sew it together? How do they start? You know, is it 5 years later? He kind of does both. He starts with the end of Godfather 2, which is the killing of Fredo. He had his brother killed, and we could do a whole half hour on that. And when that's, he's doing the Hail Marys, Fredo is,
right,
to try to catch a fish. He told little Anthony, "Oh, I'll catch a fish for you. I'm going to use my special trick. I say a Hail Mary, and that's how I'm going to catch a fish. And then he cuts right to Vegas, which they have left. You know, they're no longer in Vegas. And you remember the leaves flowing. It's got such a fall feeling.
Right. Isn't that the Lake Tahoe resort in Nevada?
Yes.
Right.
Yes, exactly.
Right? So it's Lake Tahoe.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
they're in Vegas.
Right. The leaves rumbling.
The leaves are rumbling. You can see everybody has left. It's the place is abandoned, basically.
Yeah.
And then there's Michael writing a letter to his kids.
Right.
And that's how it starts.
Right. And he's about to receive that award from the church.
Right.
Yeah.
A pin from the Pope.
Right.
So we looked at each other and smiled when we saw the Fredo scene. And we were like, this is going to be great.
Yeah. Yeah. And it kind of reminded me of, this is a weird comparison, but as you were describing that, I was thinking about some of the same feeling I had when, what Halloween movie was it where, remember we got the callbacks to Donald Pleasance in one of the later Halloween movies in that franchise. And I was like, oh, you know, there'd been years in between
after he had died.
Yeah, this was after he had died. And they still kind of worked it in the beginning. It was a similar sort of montage actually. And
yeah,
you know, so, but yeah, right from the beginning, you're hooked. So,
right.
So where does it start to take a left for people?
You know, I think it took a left for people almost at the very beginning, right after that. After he gets, you know, we see this tough guy in Joe Mantegna, who was made for this movie, right, to be in The Godfather.
Joey Zaza.
They sit down in the church, and then we go to the family gathering, which is exactly how The Godfather started.
It's like, it's a standard for the films.
That's right. It's the wedding scene.
Mm-hmm.
And it's packed, and everybody's waiting online to meet with the Godfather. So we go to a similar scene where it's a family party, and then we meet Andy Garcia, who is Vincent. And
Vincent
Mancini at the time. At the end of the movie, he's Vincent Corleone.
Right.
But what happens is Vincent is actually Sonny's love child from Godfather Part I, when during the wedding scene we see Tom Hagen,
right, going up to the room, and he overhears them going at it. Yeah.
Exactly. And they got the same woman to come back.
Woman. It's amazing. And there was a lot of those just in that scene.
Yes.
So many of those characters. I mean, you know, we were very fortunate that so many of them were still around to be able to be in that sequence, but
right.
So many of them, and even later in the film too.
Yes. Enzo the baker, Hal Neary.
Right.
Who wasn't there?
Yeah, Johnny Fontaine, right? Is that right? I have that right?
Yeah, Johnny Fontaine
sings. Tell him I ain't no band leader.
Yeah. But yeah, Johnny Fontaine sings to
amazing.
Right, to Sofia Coppola.
Who now, okay, so we talk about criticism. Now, this is clearly one of the criticisms we had.
It's big criticism.
It really is. And if you look on IMDb, you'll see there's some, you know, if you look under the trivia section, you'll see they are very quick to point out the fact that she set some sort of Raspberry Award record back then.
She won 2 Raspberries.
She won 2, right? Some highest percentage or something like that. And
worst actress, worst newcomer.
And you know, at the time, it would be hard to argue with that. If I had a problem with it, she stood out from the beginning.
I had a problem at the beginning because it was originally cast to Winona Ryder. And
Right.
she came up with some, I don't think this was true, but she came up with the excuse that she was exhausted.
Well, she made it on set. She actually was there.
Was it on the first day?
Yeah. And then, and interestingly, it was also, did I read it correctly? That it was Rachel. Oh God, you might have to look this up and help me out. It was Rachel McAdams or something who, you have to look this up, but she was another girl that was cast or going to be cast, or she auditioned for it. But
Oh,
she was murdered tragically on the day of her audition.
oh, well, it wasn't Rachel McAdams because
Not
she's
Rachel
alive and well.
McAdams. Yeah, not
Yeah,
Rachel McAdams. God, that's
I
terrible.
don't
I can't
know
think.
that story.
Yeah,
Huh. There was other people in consideration, Madonna being one of the choices.
yeah.
But there was someone else. I don't know if it was, I don't think it was Deborah Winger because I think she would have been too old to play his daughter. But there was another big actress. But everyone was expecting Winona Ryder from when they announced the movie.
Yeah.
Now, today I can watch it and look, and it's really unfair. Sofia Coppola was 19 years old.
Was she
And
19? Yeah.
she got bashed
Yeah.
up and down by every critic, every person.
Well, and her lineage made her an easy target too for it.
Yeah, she ruined The Godfather. That was her going to be on her tombstone.
And I'll be honest, I had not to the same degree, but pretty strong feelings about Talia Shire's part in the original Godfather.
Well, a lot of people, they argue that he gets caught up, and Coppola is who I'm talking about, Francis Ford Coppola, gets caught up in nepotism.
Yeah.
And he hires family members. And, he went one step too far because Talia Shire is a big part in Godfather Part III. It was her.
Big, yeah.
It was her coming out in a way, and
Maybe
for
they
these
should
three
fear
movies.
Maybe they should fear you.
Yeah, I love that line.
Hoo-ah.
When now they'll fear you, Michael. Maybe they should fear you.
Yeah.
And he walks off almost with a smirk on his face. That's a great line. But poor Sofia Coppola, who goes on to become a great director. So good for her. She did the movie with Bill Murray.
And our apologies, because I can watch the performance now, and I don't know, I see it differently now. I mean, it's the kind of that awkward in the weird sort of strange cousin interplay there, that almost incestuous thing going on.
That still bothers me. Yeah, that still bothers me. You could tell the ages are way off. He's much older.
Well, that's true. Now that you say she was 19, God, I'd forgotten about that.
Yeah. So that still bothers me. That's the worst part. Other than a couple of bad edits, that's the worst part of the movie for me.
Now, probably something that I would imagine a pretty large segment of people felt a certain way before they even went to the theater, if they did after this, was the fact that Robert Duvall was not in the film.
And that's the question I asked you, is who wasn't there at the big gathering? And it was Robert Duvall.
Right.
And it was over money. It's a very famous story.
Yep.
He wanted to get paid the same as Al Pacino.
That's right.
And deservingly so. He should have. He was of the same caliber. He should have got, and it was $5 million. If you can imagine, that's what they quibbled over.
Let's not forget
$5 million.
He was in control of the family for a short period of time in The Godfather.
He was. I always do that with people. How many Godfathers were there? And they always leave, him out, so they don't count him. But there was a time where Michael says, "I'm giving you the order. Right now, you're the Godfather." And, and that was after they had that kind of falling out where he's like, "Michael, what is it? What, did I hurt you?" Or because he had basically cut him out of the family, Tom Hagen.
Mm-hmm.
Michael had cut him out of the family, and
right.
he felt like, and remember, Michael said, are you going to go and take the offer with this other family and move her, your wife, your mistress? That really was like a zinger.
So no Robert Duvall, no
No
Tom
Robert
Hagen,
Duvall.
Sofia Coppola, right?
Right.
There's two. Well,
Right.
What other knocks do people have against this film?
Well, those are the two biggest. And I think, well, I know what our knocks are, but I think other people felt like he was trying to recreate the original. And
Was it the haircut?
I love the haircut.
Was it the haircut?
From the first time I saw the trailer, I love that Michael. In fact, remember I kind of cut my hair that way.
Well, I was just going to say, didn't we both have that haircut at some point?
I know I did.
Yeah, I think so. I do remember
I liked
that.
it so much.
Yeah.
But what Coppola was doing, I'm not Coppola, but from my point of view, this movie was begged for, right? Everybody needed closure. What happened? All the tragedy in this family. How does it end? And in fact, the original title of the movie by Coppola was The Death of Michael Corleone. That was the original title. And Paramount said, no, we're not going with that.
Well, it almost started out with The Death of Michael Corleone because Al was looking for some more cheese and didn't get it, and ultimately settled for his measly $5 million. But
I see. I didn't know. I knew he was in bargaining too with them.
Yeah.
And then he got to. Why don't pay? There was a big thing. This movie cost $50 million to make, which sounds like that's nothing, right?
Yeah.
But back then it was huge. They had to rush it out.
It was rushed. Yep.
Paramount wanted it for Christmas. No ifs, ands, or buts. If another month with this movie, and I think you've got the first trilogy. Well, it's already the first sequel to win the Academy Award, and it would have been the only trilogy ever to win the Academy, and it should have.
Right. And imagine, I mean, what was it? It was to write, direct, and edit the film. I think he had a year.
Yes.
To do it.
It's very quick. He got a trailer out that was brilliant very quickly. And I remember watching the trailer so many times with just anticipation. But
yeah.
What about you? What are your thoughts as far as
so those are I mean, okay, so those are, like you say, the top, I would agree, reasons that the majority of people don't have this one on their list. I told you I was just listening to another podcast and it was again the butt of a joke.
Right.
And I thought all the more reason we need to get this episode out, because the hope would be by the end of this episode, you're converted, or at least have a little bit more respect for this film, because it's deservedly so.
I hope so.
And the criticisms we've just rambled off, those are really, there's a few other, okay, here's one, and maybe more will come as we kind of play through this, but this one always bothered me, which is, you'll laugh when I tell you this one, my lucky coat.
Oh God.
Lucky coat. We both hate it. It's that classic scene, the build up, the tension, that kind of Jurassic Park water movement moment, right? In the helicopter, and then just ruined by that really unnecessary bit.
And to set this up, you're talking about the brilliant scene where it's going to be a hit and all of the mobsters are going to be taken out. And ironically, this comes right after Joey Zaza walks out and the great actor Eli Wallach walks out. And then you see the trembling of everything. And we don't know what's going on. Everything starts trembling.
Right.
And what a brilliant shot. What a great idea that was.
They like oranges that are rolling off the table.
Yeah. And everybody's looking like, what the hell? Right. And all of a sudden you see the lights of a helicopter and the firing starts and you hear and Andy Garcia say, "It's a hit. Let's get out of here." And he and Hal Neary grab Michael, and they get him out of the shore, execution that was probably meant for him,
Right.
but it wound up killing basically everybody else who Michael
Yeah.
had just given, $20 million checks to.
That scene is essentially flawless without that one
Without
bad
that
piece of
lucky
dialogue.
coat scene.
It's terrible.
Oh, I got to get my lucky coat. And of course, he goes to reach for the coat and he gets
blasted.
It was just stupid.
It was really silly. It was silly. I felt a little, talked down to in that particular moment
Right.
by Francis. But anyways,
let's turn to some of the positives.
There's
Because right
so
now
many
people are like, yeah,
positives.
why are we supposed to be watching this again?
We got to save the best for the good stuff.
Right. And go ahead. You name one, I'll name one.
All right. So right off we mentioned the opening, so that's a given.
Yeah.
That whole directed scene, but it's the confessional. It's the Michael Corleone confessional.
I ordered the death of my brother. He injured me. I killed my mother's son. I killed my father's son.
That's a brilliant scene.
Case in point, episode over, let's go home. We don't need to say anything else.
Yeah, I was acting at the time, and I wanted to use Michael is in Italy, and they're at the Vatican, and he finds we find out the Vatican's pretty corrupt, and this mirrored real life at the time, because remember John Paul the First.
Was it the first?
Was made Pope, and like 3 months in, he gets assassinated, or he dies mysteriously. So this kind of was a mirror of real life, and the Vatican turned out to be very corrupt. So he finds a good priest.
The church corrupt?
Yeah.
On our next episode.
Yeah, what could that be all about? Where as the coins are jingling in the big gold pan.
Speaking of confessions.
But Michael gets this good priest, and he confesses to killing.
Who is that actor? Could you have access to
I don't have it.
I'm going to look it up. He deserves like a shout out.
He does.
That's an amazing scene.
Yeah, it was Ralph Vallone, if I'm saying that right.
Cardinal Lamberto, yes.
Yes. If I don't, how would you say that?
Ralph Vallone, yeah, that's what I say.
Okay, yeah, that's what it looks like.
Yeah.
Real Italian, Sicily like type of guy.
Yeah, died in 2002. Rest in peace.
Yeah, great actor.
Great actor.
And that scene, Al Pacino goes to tears. And I've watched it at times and shed tears.
Yeah.
And I wanted to do that as an audition piece, but it was just too short. I couldn't.
Yeah.
I tried to lengthen it by adding my own lines, and it just sounded like, give me my jacket.
My lucky jacket.
Yeah, my lucky jacket.
Did he just do the lucky jacket bit? Get out of here.
You'll
never work in this town.
There's a scene before that we also were in the theater. We looked at each other like, yes. And it was the scene where Andy Garcia is in bed with Bridget Fonda.
Yeah.
And he tells her, hey, I think my cat, or something. He makes some excuse, go get me a drink of water.
Right.
And she's complaining, and she's the one who says something about the cat. She gets out and hears a little thing. She says, do you have a cat? And the whole time he knows what's going on. Two guys have broken in and they're going to kill him. And, they wind up putting a knife to her head and she screams. He comes out with a pistol, of course. And, we know what happens next. What a great scene to introduce. I mean, there was a scene before that where he bit the ear off of Joe Montana.
Yeah, but that one, this one was just so badass.
This was badass.
This is
what, if the movie was this, people would love it.
Yeah.
This is what people were going to see.
Are you watching? Okay, don't turn away now. You watching?
That's right. That's right.
So good. Yeah, that's a great one.
I often said to you, if you remember, that why when Winona Ryder went out, they've got this up-and-coming great actress from a family of great actors. Why didn't Bridget Fonda slide into that role? Dye her hair.
Yeah.
Dark, so she looks more, she could easily, pass for Italian.
She was underused.
She was totally underused, and I thought that could have saved it in people's minds. I don't think.
Where has she been? Is she, I mean, she just seems to kind of dropped away.
Married Eric Stoltz.
Oh.
And I believe she just kind of
the original Marty McFly.
That's right. Who was not well liked in the industry.
No.
And made a brief comeback a couple years ago when Battlestar Galactica had a spinoff, but I think she just wound up retiring, and what a shame. I thought she was going to be bigger than Jane Fonda, bigger than Peter.
And didn't she also star with Pacino in City Hall? Wasn't that?
She did.
Yeah.
That was Bridget Fonda.
Yeah.
And I kept saying she was in another movie.
Again with
Single White Female.
That's right. Yeah.
And I thought she was going to be. I remember saying this to you. She's going to be a star. Trust me. Yeah. 10 years from now, she's going to have like 3 Academy Awards. And then she just kind of disappeared.
Well, she had it in the blood, so yeah, she could have continued.
But that scene, everybody, you could feel the excitement in the theater. But that wasn't, the movie was not about that. The movie was about Michael.
It's like search for redemption, basically.
Exactly. He wanted to go legit.
Which, that's probably another reason people had a problem with it, because honestly, you look and it's no secret. I mean, that's Pacino wasn't really super keen on that plot line.
Right.
I think he said he wouldn't have found remorse. He wouldn't have,
Right.
So.
But that's what it was. The whole movie was his search. Remember when Don Tomasino, they were in Sicily. Yeah. Don Tomasino gets killed, and Michael is there before the wake starts, and he's talking to Don Tomasino as, he's dead.
Right, at his coffin, right.
And he says, "Why is it that you were so loved and I was so feared?"
Yeah.
He didn't want that. Yeah, he wanted to be a good guy. He wanted to take over the family and make it legitimate. And at the end of the first Godfather, Michael was, just kind of really a man on an island. And you think it can't get worse. The second movie, he has his brother executed, and you see him in Tahoe with his head down, just like, how can you get more, deserted from humanity than that?
Yeah, such a great cast. I'm thinking of some others too. Like, first of all, we haven't even mentioned Diane Keaton yet.
Correct.
But help me out here. The consigliere, I can't. The Captain Tan.
George Hamilton.
Yeah,
who,
amazing.
To me, go back. If he basically took over Tom Hagen, he was the family lawyer.
Yeah, he was great.
He was excellent. And again, a short part. They obviously shortened it. It was written with Robert Duvall in mind. So obviously he had to make a lot of changes and rewrites.
Yeah.
And trim it down, but he has a great scene at the Vatican. We had a deal.
I wasn't as crazy about Tom Hagen's his son's
Right, the
right?
priest.
Yeah, I mean, it worked. I was okay with that storyline, which was small anyways, but
Now
that was
that was not in the theater.
oh,
You're
how did
actually
that
bringing
cut?
something up. That was part, like they
Okay.
said, okay, Godfather 3 director's cut coming to VHS, and we were like, oh,
See, that's become just so locked in my brain that
yeah, he's gonna fix it. And then they added the scene where Teresa, which was Tom Hagen's wife, and it's the same actress. I mean, they all look the same, just older.
yeah.
And he says, yeah, hey, Father, let me introduce you to my brother Tom Hagen's son. He wasn't alive to see him ordained as a priest, but
Right.
it's a great thing. That's when we know, that's the first time we figure out, because when we watched it in the theater, we walked out, we both looked at each other and said, okay, what happened to Tom Hagen?
Yeah.
They never even mentioned his name
Right.
in,
That's
in
right.
the original theater.
Yeah. Again, money. It was money issue. They should have paid him
And,
what he wanted.
right. And they must have been ticked off at him. Let's cut him out totally.
What
Like he
did
wasn't even in the family.
what is it grossed? What is the film taken in?
136 million. So it
Okay.
almost tripled, what
How
it costs.
how does that compare to the other two? Do you know?
I don't know, but I know it's probably the other two were less, but you got to do that.
The time and all that.
Yeah, the
Yeah.
math.
The inflation and whatever the heck.
But yeah, again with the actors, you got Andy Garcia, Eli Wallach, Joe Mantegna. I don't know his name. The guy who played the Archbishop was Donald Donnelly. Nobody I really know, but he
Oh,
was
right.
great. He was
He
the
was
real
really good.
corrupt.
Very, yeah.
Um, Richard
Illuminati.
Richard Bright came back to play Al Neary. Johnny
Yeah.
Fontaine came back. All these people.
Again,
Amenzo
so
the baker.
just so fortunate that they were, like I said,
Right.
available to come back. Now, no, go ahead.
No, I'm saying all these cameos just,
Yeah, it
and
was chock full.
I thought it was smart. He got him kind of out of the way at the beginning.
Mm-hmm.
And, here's, and I brought it up earlier about this movie mirroring the first.
Yeah.
The ending, which was, they all went to Sicily to see Anthony, which was, Michael Corleone's son, make his debut in the opera. And he, Al Pacino or Michael wanted him to become a lawyer and work for him.
Right.
And he had, said something like, I have bad memories. He kind of put together, along with Kay, that it was Michael that killed Fredo. And
Right.
so he grew up kind of resenting
Mm-hmm.
his father. And so at the end of the movie, Michael's going to get rid of, the 5 families. Like that was the first one. Well, today we settle all Corleone business.
Yeah,
that
it's another standard theme and all of
correct.
The Demo Green.
And then, maybe the most epic scene.
Well, let's not get too, don't go there
okay.
yet.
Go
Don't
ahead.
there yet.
Go ahead.
You're going to the end, right?
Yeah, I was going to the end.
Yeah, don't go there yet, because that one deserves to be saved up a little bit.
Yeah.
So let's recap. So we've got, you have you can't argue with the cast.
No.
It's a tremendous cast all around. I mean, at least half of it is from the other Godfathers, so you got no complaints there.
And how Al Pacino doesn't get nominated for this performance.
Right.
I was just flabbergasted.
Just when I thought I was out, they pull me back in.
Academy Award for that line. I mean, George Costanza said that in the Seinfeld.
So yeah, it's like we said, we were talking again offline. It's that, and I'll make him an offer he can't refuse. Like those 2 lines are
the
so
most
often
parroted lines of any movies ever.
Yeah. Simpsons. Once you hit the Simpsons, you know that.
Right.
You kind of it's it.
But I watched a movie last night I told you about called Friends of Eddie Coyle.
Mhm.
And a good buddy of yours, Alex Rocco, was one of the
Oh,
stars.
yeah. Mo Green.
And Alex Rocco was Mo Green, and you
And
met him
I
in a
did.
bar
He
of all
he was the
places.
nicest. That was an amazing, a very quick little side note here,
Yeah.
or detour in the conversation. I was at a bar at a hotel in Massachusetts near home, and I was there with my best friend Randy, and I look over and I look back at Randy and I said, "Dude, it's Mo Green." With some younger woman, Alex doing his thing. And how was I not gonna go and approach him? Like, this is a golden moment. And
Right.
he's a local. He's from up around that area.
He was actually a mobster.
Was he really?
Yes, he was.
Oh, I didn't
And
know that.
what he did is he lost a lot of weight,
Yeah.
moved to California, and became an actor.
Oh, I didn't know
But
that
go
was
ahead,
his
tell your story.
background.
I didn't mean to interrupt your story.
No,
Yeah.
I got the nerve up. I probably had a few at that point, but I walked over to him and kind of had to, and I remember looking at the girl he was with, and I said, "Do you know who this is? You know who you're sitting with? This is Mo Green, for Christ's sake."
What did he say?
He was just super nice, shook my hand, said thanks a lot, because I told him what a huge fan we were and all that good stuff. And then he signed a coaster for me.
To me.
Yeah, that's right. To you. That's
Yeah,
right.
I still have it.
That's right. I wondered if I had lost that. That's right.
No, it said to Mike.
That's right. That's right. That's a prized
Yep.
piece of our collection. But yeah,
Yep.
super sweet guy. Anyways, I digress.
Yes.
So we've talked about, okay, amazing cast,
Mm-hmm.
right? It's great direction. We mentioned that aside from the Lucky Coat bit, scenes like the gathering and the families and all that, just brilliant.
Right.
The opening sequence.
There's a couple of really bad edits. One was when Michael has a stroke.
Okay, now I'm glad you brought that up.
Mm-hmm.
Now, and I want to ask you, because I wanted to talk about this. That's has been one of the main criticisms I've had of the film over the years. Every time I see it. Now, the more I watch it, the more it seems to me that it's an intentional edit. But if it is, it's just poorly done. It's too much of a jump cut.
I think you're right.
That makes it seem like it's a screw up.
Yes.
Will you agree with that?
I agree with that. But it always bothers me.
Yeah.
That scene always bothers me.
In such a great scene, but that was always an awkward. Yeah, it's just very strange. So if you've seen the movie, you know what we're talking about. But there's then when he's recovering, actually, speaking of another great scene, when he's in bed and he's kind of warning, I think, Vincent, isn't he, at that point?
Yeah,
and
being with the daughter.
Right, and he's upset that they went ahead with.
Yeah, they did a hit on Joe Montana.
Right.
Joey Zaza. And he didn't like that.
Yeah. And it's another, Pacino, one of the reasons we've always loved him is just that passion that comes through in his performances. And he always seems, I don't know if it's in his contract or what, he has to have one scene at least where he's yelling at the top of his lungs.
Right. It is not what I wanted.
Oh, it's so good.
I rule this family, right or wrong.
So
I
great.
mean,
fantastic.
You can tell we deliver lines to each other all the time.
That's a classic. But I wanted to, before we get to the end, I wanted to talk about a couple of other performances. And one, maybe originally it was a bit of I don't know, it used to kind of make me laugh. But can we talk about the donkey character and the two hitmen?
Yeah. Yeah.
The guy has basically these two hitmen.
Right.
That are what are they hired
they're
by
set
the
up,
Vatican?
They were hired by Don Altabello.
Right? Don Altabello
to kill Michael.
Right, and one of the guys, his kind of warning call or whatever is like a jackass. Basically, it's like a mule, a donkey, whatever.
Yeah, stupid.
Yeah, I always thought that was weird. But the other guy was that guy was a great actor in that.
Yeah.
I don't know. I can't tell you who that was, but again, another fairly small part. But
right.
They're
he
in it
killed
to the last third of the movie, I would say.
he killed the two big, brothers that, there was two twins that
That's
Andy
right.
Garcia had hired.
That's
and
right.
the one brother thinks he's talking to the other brother, but it's the old guy holding him up that, all of
Yeah.
a sudden comes to life and murders him too.
That the whole sequence while they're at the opera.
But yeah, and before we get to the end, let's I gotta say this, because it was nominated for 7 Academy Awards. Now it won none, and this is at a time when there was only 5 movies nominated. Now I think every movie that gets made is nominated. It's
Right.
ridiculous.
Right.
So only 5 movies were nominated. Do you know what it ran against?
She's 1990. Oh man. I was
Came out in 1990, but I think it wasn't officially.
So you're talking late 80s.
No, yeah, it was like 91. But
okay.
here's one of the movies it's up against.
Yeah.
Goodfellas.
What is it? Goodfellas?
Goodfellas.
Oh God, yeah.
Right? So I have this theory that those movies could have split the vote
Yes.
for people, but I think more people might have leaned towards Goodfellas.
Yeah.
Than
that's on the top of many people's mobsters list.
Right. So it's going
Gangsters.
against, and Goodfellas didn't win, right? But the big movie that year,
Yeah.
Dances with Wolves.
Oh, Kevin Costner. Okay.
Yeah, he wins Best Picture. Wow. He wins Best Director. He pulls a Clint Eastwood with Unforgiven.
I'm not going to argue with that. That's a great film.
Right. So, I mean, tough competition. So he gets the picture.
What was the rest of that list?
The rest of the list is Awakenings, De Niro again.
Oh, wow.
And Your Buddy.
Yeah, Rob Williams.
And the fifth one, which a lot of women I probably would have voted for, is Ghost.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
So
okay.
5 good, solid movies. I mean,
yeah, that's some steep competition.
Yeah, tough competition. And again, I have a theory that Godfather and Goodfellas could have split.
Now, did Goodfellas, was that released before Godfather 3?
After.
Oh, interesting.
The year after. The Godfather came out, like you said, on Christmas Day.
Yeah.
So it wasn't eligible till the next year. So all the movies that came out the following year.
Right.
Now, Best Actor, who wins it? Jeremy Irons for playing Klaus von Bülow.
Okay.
And here's who gets passed up. De Niro for Awakenings.
Yeah.
Richard Harris in The Field. And our winner, Gerard Depardieu for Cyrano.
Oh, okay. Wow.
So there's your Best Actor. Your Best Actress winds up going to Kathy Bates for Misery.
Yeah, I got to give it to Kathy Bates.
Got to give it to her.
Yep.
Here's the Goodfellas win, Joe Pesci.
Oh,
I think Joe Pesci should have won for The Irishman.
He still scares the shit out of me.
Oh, he's
good from Goodfellas.
I mean, he's retired and hasn't done a movie in a long time.
No.
And Scorsese got him to come back for The Irishman on Netflix. Mm-hmm. Brilliant performance.
Yeah.
And the supporting actress, the only I thought this was going to go to Lorraine Bracco for Goodfellas.
Right.
Goes to Whoopi Goldberg.
I thought you might say that from Ghost, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Interesting. Yeah. Whoopi, she's got 2 Oscars. She won Ghost and Color Purple.
Color Purple. She was
2-time
Best Actress.
winner.
Yes.
All right, go Whoopi.
And Oprah Winfrey also won.
Yeah.
Best Supporting Actress.
Yeah.
So
a lot of good films around that year.
That was a movie we had talked about doing. We may do in the future, depending on what people want.
Yeah.
But so should we get to the ending?
Yeah, I said earlier, the confessional scene in and of itself, if that doesn't win you over for this film, then we can't
Right.
be friends. But let's bring it to the climax of this film, which I'm telling you right now, I'm still the chills. I still shed tears.
Yep.
So lay it out for us.
Well, they're coming out of the opera. Andy Garcia realizes that all of his security have been killed.
And
They
they're all
know-
they're all there. It's right. All the main characters are.
Yes. And he's like, there might be trouble. Get everybody together. Let's get out fast. Get to the cars. So they're at this beautiful stairway, something you would see in Italy. And they're coming down the stairs from the opera house. And you had talked about the scene earlier where he's making the noise, and the guy pulls out a gun to kill Al Pacino, and he hits him on the shoulder because Al Pacino is like, wow, and he makes this move, only to turn and realize his daughter, Sofia Coppola, is hit, dead center,
right in the
right
stomach.
in the heart. Yeah, right in the heart.
Yeah.
And first off, Sofia Coppola, if all your criticisms of her, you better give her kudos for that scene.
Yeah, to just deliver a one word line, I think.
Yep.
Right.
Dad.
Yeah.
She drops to her knees.
Breathtaking.
Saying dad, and falls over. She's limp.
Right.
And Al Pacino is shaking her, no. And then we see him, tears busting out of his eyes.
And he's starting to rock back and forth a little bit.
And he's hysterical.
Yeah.
And he looks like he's screaming. And I'm like, wow, this is great. Look how he cut out the audio of him screaming. He didn't. He comes in with the scream.
Right.
But the original scream is silent, and I don't know how many takes that was. I hope it was one.
Yeah.
But it's epic. It's an epic scream, an epic reaction to his daughter being killed and in his arms, and then everybody else starts reacting.
Right, like Diane Keaton and
her brother.
Yeah, and
Andy Garcia.
Andy Garcia. God, sorry, Andy.
Yeah,
Andy Garcia.
Yeah, they all are just great reaction shots.
It is kind of funny when you think about it. She's the one that gets railed on the most in the movie, and yet delivers the most pivotal moment in the entire film.
It absolutely was, and
because that was his world. That was just,
he was it.
Nothing left to live for at that point.
Yeah, she was it, and it was just heartbreaking. And man, I thought that's the Academy Award right there. If he didn't get it for the confessional, he just got it for this scene.
So then we have a very fairly short final scene.
Yes,
which is somewhat reminiscent of at least the second one, the way the second one ends with that kind of contemplative look on Pacino's face. And
how can he get more isolated?
Yeah.
Well, he did.
He did. Right. So now he's an old man. I don't know how, we're flash forwarding. I don't know how many years in the story, but there he is.
But he's got this bad makeup on. That was
pretty bad.
Yeah, it was. He didn't look.
I think they were trying to make him look like his father in the original.
Probably.
You remember when he's out in the garden,
and he's there's a dog chirping around him, kind of like the kid around Vito.
He's just sitting in a chair,
and he just plops over, and that ends our trilogy.
And that's it. Yeah. And I was going to ask you: if you could have ended it any other way, how would you have ended it?
I think the scene of him sitting in Sicily by himself not with his funky makeup on, maybe made up a little older. Of course, today's technology, they could do it much better without anything.
Yeah.
They can de-age, they can age, they can do all sorts of things. And it cuts back to him dancing with his original wife, right?
That's right.
After he falls over, he cuts back to Sicily when,
Apollonia.
Yeah, things were good and he was at the beginning of his life, and he, he had just done the killing of the police captain, but here was his new start.
Right.
But so that's how it ends. I think that was another drag for the movie for a lot of people, is when they went to Sicily and Diane Keaton, Kay and Michael are kind of, on better terms, and they kind of make up.
But again, it's about the character's search for redemption. So it's about healing these relationships and trying to do the right thing and go down that right path. And
right. And he just couldn't do it.
He couldn't do it.
He couldn't do it. And he got, in the end, what they all get in the end. Either jail, sitting in a jail, being killed, or in his case, the worst of all things, his daughter being killed in his arms.
Yeah.
And, that's the end of, his journey. His arc is gigantic from the beginning of The Godfather, where he's this kind of geeky, college kid who just enrolled in the army, to an old man that's got nobody. It's totally forgotten, left alone. It's a real gripping, and it's the way I think it needed to be concluded.
I agree. And it's really not that much different than the ending of the other two. When you really think about it, they're all very kind of solemn conclusions. The one with, Kay getting shut out when they shut the door on her, and then him on the park bench, just kind of contemplating where he's at. And,
Yep. And would we want to see a Godfather 4?
Yes, we would.
Definitely.
I don't care what it's about, who's in it.
They could have done it.
It could be about Enzo the baker's distant relative. Lorenzo, the deli worker, and I'd be okay with that.
That was another thing. They could have gone a whole different direction. You know what would have pleased people? I think, and made this just as renowned as the others, is if Andy Garcia played Anthony.
Yeah.
Okay. And he kept the family going.
Right.
And instead of Anthony being kind of a wimp, and I want to be an opera singer, not a lawyer, but if Anthony continued the family business as one of his dad's goons, I think people would have loved that. I think they would have ate that story up.
Yeah, I'm sure you're right. But hopefully because you know what I'm going to do this 4th of July weekend?
Watch the trilogy.
I'm watching the trilogy.
Yeah.
And so
I always save it for the fall.
Yeah, for you and I, it's always been a November kind of Thanksgiving treat,
Yeah.
But it's gonna deserve getting some play this weekend. So, my hope is that we clearly know that we are the number one GF3 fans on the planet, but hopefully at the end of this conversation, we have maybe turned you a little bit more towards
I hope so.
A favorable opinion.
If we go back in time, both Siskel and Ebert gave it thumbs up when they reviewed it.
Yeah.
And they both said, I remember one of them looked at the other and said, it's not up to par with Godfather 1 or Godfather 2. And then I think it was Ebert said, yeah, but not many movies. No, Siskel said not many movies are. How many movies are up to par with those two?
Right. That's a high bar.
Yeah, but they both liked the movie. They both gave it a thumbs up. I don't remember their critique of the movie, but I know they liked it, and they. I don't know where these other reviews. I don't know what movie they were watching. You know,
Goodfellas.
A couple of weak scenes, and they throw the whole thing. I think the Sicily stuff probably bored people a little bit. You know, the opera scene was a little dull until it got to the killings and how everybody, you know, like they hung the guy, and, you know,
Yeah.
how near he's gone because he basically committed suicide by going right to the guy that was running everything.
Well, there's so many scenes we didn't even talk about. I mean, you know, if you're talking, it's another 3 hour.
It's another 3 hour movie.
Right. And we don't want this to be a 3 hour episode, obviously.
No, but please watch it.
Yes, we love it. And we hope that you now love it a little bit more, or like it a little bit more than maybe you would have originally, because it is just a fantastic film. And
it's an excellent conclusion.
Yep.
A proper conclusion to this, you know, epic.
And I think that's a proper conclusion to this episode.
Yeah.
My friend.
And please let us know if there's a movie you want us to talk about. Let us know. If you want to join in, be a guest. Anything
movie related that you want us to talk about.
Please.
If you're not following us currently, please follow us on social media. We're everywhere. We're on Instagram, we're on Twitter, we're on Facebook. We got a YouTube channel. We'd love for you guys to subscribe and follow us anytime we put out new content. We appreciate those of you that are listening. We love doing.
And can I add something here, Dan?
Yeah.
Dan does a great job of making stills and teasers for episodes. He does some great work, you know, adding pictures of the movies and with our little logo in there. Check it out, check it out and give us a thumbs up, subscribe.
And give us a call, for crying out loud. We're lonely. Give us a call. I dare you, if you've made it this far, I dare you to give us a call. Now, look, if you're someone that knows us well, that doesn't count. We're talking about our European listeners or wherever you might be, our international listeners. Give us a call, 407-476-8781. We really want to hear from you. And
I am
we're in quarantine,
lonely.
folks. We got nothing else to do.
Yeah, a lot of you guys have flattened your curves, not us.
No, my curves are getting bigger and bigger with every bite that I eat.
You're like at the moon at this point.
I'm telling you. But yeah, we appreciate you guys tuning in, and we actually got another episode coming not too far down the pike here. So we're going to keep churning that content out for you. And like Mike said, if there's something that you want us to get into and debate or just talk about or analyze or whatever it is, light, technical, deep, popcorn eater type stuff, whatever it is.
I love sci-fi.
Sci-fi, yeah.
Yeah.
And particularly something that, obscure, maybe we haven't seen. There's so many films. There's so many movies.
Yep.
But for now, folks, I've been your host, Dan Smith, alongside my brother from the same mother, Mike Smith, and we will see you next time.
Bye, everyone.